Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My parents separated around the time I got engaged to my now wife. Neither of them handled it well, especially as they got into the actual divorce process. My dad was drunk all the time, dating 21-year-olds, and my mom was mean and throwing fits, screaming, crying, guilt-tripping. It was very hard on me, because I know that isn't who they are. My wife has never gotten along with my mom. Around the time of the wedding, they weren't even on speaking terms, but my parents always promised they would pay for certain things: college, wedding, help with the first house. So they honored that process. Now my wife knows that their money comes from some strings attached, and we did talk about having a smaller wedding, but she said no, she wanted to let them pay. My mom was crazy during the planning. She cried non-stop. At first, I tried to comfort her, then I got sick of it and honestly told her to shut up. My dad's trashy girlfriend tried getting involved, and I asked my wife again if she wanted to cancel and do something we could afford. She said no. The day of the wedding, my mom and wife got into a big fight while getting ready, because my mom was monopolizing the makeup artist. My mom ended up throwing a fit, crying about how no one cares what she is going through, and yelling at my mother-in-law in front of everyone that her daughter is R. One of the big reasons they hate each other is because my wife doesn't think my parents should talk in front of her in Spanish. My mom threatened to cancel everything, and my wife was in tears before our big day. During the reception, my parents got into a fight in the hall, which they both claimed they didn't think anyone could hear. Yeah, we could hear it. Both of their new partners were involved. They pretty much got back together in front of said new partners, and then ran off. So obviously everyone was talking about that. People still bring it up with how romantic that was. My wife was furious, and I totally backed her. The issue is, it is 3 years later, and she continues to bring it up and say she will never forgive them. She is furious because my mom recently had a huge 50th birthday, and she didn't deserve it. She brought it up again at a family dinner, and there was a fight. My mom said she will pay for a vow renewal if my wife will shut up about it. My wife jumped at this and wants a 5-year vow renewal, but I don't for a couple of reasons. 1, it is embarrassing after only 5 years. 2, I gave her multiple chances to back out of the first wedding. 3, our marriage isn't good right now. We are in counseling, and it would just feel fake. 4, I feel weird when they spent so much money on the first one. Not the a-hole. Honestly, don't know why you married her if she's having issues with your parents speaking in different languages in front of her. Also, no offense, your marriage is probably not gonna last. It doesn't sound like you were compatible before the wedding, and not now as well. Everyone sucks here, except for OP. Wife has a ton of red flags. Mom and dad clearly acted like children. You're stuck in the middle. OP, please continue to get counseling. I hope you make the best decision of your life. She saw it coming a mile away, invited the madness once, and she still hasn't learned her lesson. She's lost my sympathy at that point. She strikes me as one who cares more about the party than about being with her partner. Not the a-hole, but y'all need marriage counseling, like yesterday. A bit of backstory to paint a picture of the situation. My father, 62 male, Peter, cheated on my mom, 62 female, Wendy, about 10 years ago with a woman, 48 female, Sarah. We all knew. I was the one that found out, and after about 4 months, they divorced. More so than blaming Peter for cheating, Mom blames Sarah for ruining both families. She had 3 kids at the time as well, and so did I at the time. Now, years later, I have forgiven Peter and Sarah for the affair, and we agreed they handled it poorly. Mom has found some new love as well in a very conservative man, 74, male, Tom, with a frustratingly in-your-face mentality. He is good and kind to her, so I overlook the age difference. I, 32 male, recently went to dinner at my mom's place with my girlfriend, 33 female, Sam, of 5 years, when Mom confronted Sam with spending time with the homewrecker that Peter left her with almost 10 years ago. Sam and Sarah bonded quite early on in my relationship with Sam, mostly over the all too familiar habits that Peter and I have in various things. Even though I was still processing the whole divorce and cheating situation when I met Sam, I have always supported her in getting to know my family and friends. This never really became an issue, until Sam and Sarah went on a spa day together. Dad and I spent some bonding time at home, while the girls were out having some innocent fun time of their own. No problem so far. When we arrived at Mom's for dinner, I opened the door to find Mom in tears, and Tom standing between her and us, with a raging glare in his eyes. As he steps towards Sam and starts yelling at her, I push her behind me to confront him in whatever he wanted to ventilate to her. He accused Sam of consorting with the enemy and being insensitive to the feelings of my mother. He continued yelling at her, and then went on saying that I have to raise that S properly if we were to stay welcome at their place. I responded by handing the car keys to Sam and telling her to lock the doors. Then I aimed my attention at Mom's boyfriend and Mom to explain my stand in the matter. I don't regulate who Sam spends time with, since she is a grown woman with her own life. I understand the friction this might give for the relationship that Sam and Mom have. So does Sam, but there is nothing evil going on. Mom claims they probably have been talking about her during the spa day, and she doesn't like to be foul-mouthed behind her back. I assured her, I hope, that I can't imagine that that is what Sam and Sarah were talking about at all, let alone the whole day. I cried a lot during the explanation, and Mom's boyfriend made fun of me for not being a man because of it. That doesn't really matter to me, to be honest, just painting the picture. In the end, he was most furious with me for siding with Sam over Mom's pain. I see his point, slightly, but still think I did the right thing. So I ask you, am I the a-hole in this? Not the a-hole. Tom obviously cares for your mom, but he needs to step back from these kinds of issues. Your mom needs to stop putting 100% of the blame on Sarah. Yes, she could have stayed away from a married man, but your mom needs to see that her husband actively went after a woman 14 years younger, and her projecting her anger into you and Sam is wrong. He's still your father, regardless of how his marriage turned out, and you're still going to have a relationship with him, just as you do with your mom. Everyone sucks here. I'm just going to say it. That woman ruined your mother's life. Your dad is your dad, so there's nothing wrong with reconciling with him, but I wouldn't have anything to do with the woman your dad cheated with. I would be upset too, but I think it's really weird how they just showed up freaking out. Not the a-hole. Wow, talk about out of line. Are you not supposed to talk to your father either? Your mother has a stupid idea of Sarah's role in this. No man cheats because someone flings her vagina at them. A man cheats because he chooses to cheat. Sarah should have had the good form not to invite a married man into her life, but he was the one out prowling. All of that said, it was 10 years ago. Your mom needs to get over herself and not slam your girlfriend for visiting with your dad's girlfriend. My girlfriend, Joy, has been working as a nanny for about 4.5 years. Children seem to love her, and as of now, she has no intention of changing careers. My sister-in-law, Hope, seems to hate nannies. I've heard her make comments like, real mums don't need a nanny, or nannies break apart families, etc. At first, Joy tried to defend parents that hire nannies, but she just shrugs her shoulders now. Hope's hatred of nannies has begun to affect Joy. According to her, Joy is the type of nanny to attract unwanted attention, and the home-wrecking type. These comments make me uncomfortable, but Joy, for the most part, seems unbothered. I've asked Hope to stop, and we've both distanced ourselves from the family. Despite my relationship with Hope, Joy and I were invited to their child-free wedding. It was a beautiful ceremony, and I wish Hope and my brother Carl the best. Carl has a 5-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter from a previous relationship. Though they are both amazing kids, they're still kids who like to run around, play, and have trouble keeping quiet. Carl and Hope didn't hire anyone to help watch over their children and didn't seem to bother to check on them. At one point, my nephew fell down and started crying, and Joy, who was the closest, helped him up and cheered him up a bit. From that point on, they were both attached at Joy's hip, and we became the unofficial babysitters. Joy was a great help. She made sure the kids stayed clean for pictures, ate, and weren't disruptive. I don't think Carl or Hope checked on them once, though Carl sent me a few texts checking in. Joy also has a higher tolerance level, so I was more annoyed with the situation, but she asked me not to make a fuss. When it was getting late, I called Hope and told her that we were leaving. By this time, the kids were tired and had dozed off in a room. Hope came in and was very upset with Joy, saying that she was trying to ruin her family by being a better mother than her and claiming her children, my niece and nephew, as her own. Now, I was a little agitated, so I yelled at Hope to shut up, not in public, but there were a few family and friends around, and we left. Carl sent me a dozen texts all about how I ruined his wife's and his wedding night, as Hope was too sad or embarrassed to do anything. My mom also called me out for yelling at the bride. I feel a little guilty for not apologizing and ruining the wedding. Not the a-hole. Carl didn't bother to make sure that his own children were safe and cared for during the wedding. And Hope didn't give a damn about the kids either, until it was time for you to leave and they wound up back in her lap. And your mother had the nerve to be upset at you two instead of at Carl for neglecting his children? I wouldn't blame you for going no contact with all of them, but if you do that, be sure to get in touch with the mother of these children and let her know exactly what happened on that day. It's obvious that neither Carl nor his new bride care about these kids, and their mother has a right to know that they are being neglected in his care. Not the a-hole. What type of parent and stepmom would not make plans for their children? She deserved to be yelled at. Not the a-hole. Being a bride does not excuse you from using your guests. Hope needs to curb her jealousy. Carl needs to grab a bottle, cause he really did it now, marrying Looney Tunes. Your mom needs to mum's the word. Your girlfriend is everything Hope wants to be, but does not have the ability to be. She hates herself, so she puts down others. It's as simple as that. Your girlfriend doesn't have to try and be anything, because she is just better. Your whole family is allowing Hope to play the victim when she really needs to be called out. Do not feel guilty. Show your brother this post, and he will understand his new bride is another B word. I'm getting married in July. My sister Ash is getting married in June. The weddings were not planned to be so close. It just kind of worked out that way. I got engaged first, but her husband is in the military, so they had to rush things a little bit and either get married on 5 months' notice or wait a lot longer. My family grew up in what would be considered lower middle class. My parents are gifting Ash $1,000 to help with wedding planning. Obviously, this doesn't go that far. We have a decent-sized extended family and lots of friends. Ash is doing everything she can to be thrifty and will end up having around 70 adult guests at her wedding. She wishes it could be more and with kids, but due to budget cuts, had to be made. My fiancée Julie is from a very well-off family, and with her being their only daughter, they are being extremely generous with the wedding budget. I don't want to say how much they've given us, but it's more than most households make in a year. It still feels a little surreal marrying into a family like this, but I will say they've been nothing but kind to me, and I've never felt judged by them. We will be inviting the entire extended family, kids included, and lots of friends as well. We've invited about 250 people and are expecting around 150 to 200. Ash knew my wedding would have more people, but I don't think she realized until this weekend how nice it will be. We saw each other this weekend, and while wedding planning came up, it is pretty clear how fancy ours is going to be. The food served will be over $150 a plate. It's one of the most expensive venues in the area, and the musical performer is relatively well known, family friend of Julie's. Ash asked me if I could tone it down, so it's not so much bigger and better than hers, and so people don't compare or skip hers for mine. I told her that her wedding will be amazing, and not to compare, but I won't be telling Julie to not have her wedding how she wants it. Personally, I'd elope or have a giant wedding. It makes no difference to me, but Julie wants an extravagant affair, and if her parents don't mind paying, I'm fine with it too. Ash says I'm being an a-hole for not even considering otherwise, and my mom insinuated that she agreed. Am I being an a-hole here? Not the a-hole. I get it that your sister feels insecure, especially with the wedding so close, but that's not your responsibility. Your fiancé is a part of this event, a crucial part, obviously, and gets a say on how your wedding is planned, which has nothing whatsoever to do with your sister, not to mention that a good chunk of the extravagance is due to her side of the family paying for it. Regardless of how Ash feels, that's not something she gets a say in, and it would be a hard hill to climb to try and tone down your wedding for her sake, even if you wanted to. For someone who had a relatively bare-bones wedding about a month away from a friend's very posh wedding, with a fair amount of friend crossover, I can say that both events were well enjoyed, and it's the attitude and tone of the event that people remember fondly. Hard to hear when you're pinching pennies and trimming a guest list, but it's true in the long run, and hopefully something Ash will realize. Not the a-hole. Don't adjust your wedding to accommodate your sister's insecurities. Not the a-hole. Your future in-laws are paying for your wedding. I'm sure if the wedding costs were up to you and or your parents, you'd not have such an extravagant wedding. Your sister needs to grow up and realize that the world does not revolve around her. Same with your mother. My, 26 female, fiance, 28 male, has a twin sister who he is very protective over. I'll call her Sis for this story. Started going out with her new partner roughly 5 months ago. After 3 weeks, she found out she was pregnant. No judgment, it happens, we're happy for her. Fiance's family live in Scotland, and we live down south, so we don't see them much. But 6 weeks ago we visited and met his sister's partner for the first time, and it did not go well. We got very, very drunk. He was making derogatory remarks about my fiance's mother, talking down to Sis, laughing at her job. She's a lifeguard, and talking loudly about how he will bring up their son better than she has brought up her current son, who is 5. All in all, he was horrible. There weren't so much red flags as a giant red cannon going off screaming that this guy was bad news. At first, we were in shock about what was being said, and in all honesty, thought he was joking. Terrible jokes, but as I said, we were both stunned at what he was saying. But he went to the bar to get more drinks, and while he was away, Sis was so apologetic. We realized he wasn't, and after the next comment, neither of us could hold our tongues. We were both just very clear that what he was saying was completely unacceptable. The next day, she called to apologize. We told her she should never apologize for him. We were not upset with her, so he should have called us. At that point, she was adamant his behavior was one-off. He never behaves like that, so we stopped short of uninviting him to our wedding. However, we had a chat the other night, and both of us said we were still worried about him being there. And given what we had seen that night and heard about him since, neither of us believed it was a one-off. Here is where we might be the a-holes. We rang Sis and let her know we had decided not to invite him. Sis is due 4 weeks before our wedding. She will have her newborn and son with her, so we realize it will be difficult for her. So we offered to reimburse his hotel, come and pick her up and drop her off, and pay for a sitter or nanny to help her throughout her stay. We'll be busy, or we would offer. And her, my parents' mom, has a number of health professionals that would make it impossible to help. Sis is saying we're the a-hole for not inviting him, because she won't be able to come on her own with a newborn and her son. And so we've effectively uninvited her. And future mother-in-law, while glad he is not going, thinks we're the a-holes for saying he could come, and then changing our minds because we have added to her stress. So, are we the a-holes? Not the a-hole, because it's your wedding. But since it looks like uninviting the boyfriend will cause Sis to not attend and everyone to be hurt, I would give them both an invite. If the boyfriend gets drunk or aggressive, have your wedding planner, an usher, or venue worker remove him immediately. Not the a-hole. First of all, from what you said, yeah, this guy is a real piece of work. You obviously can invite whoever you want to the wedding, and I fully understand not wanting him there and support it. You are also doing everything you can to accommodate her, so she can attend the wedding with a newborn. Not the a-hole. Your sister-in-law apologized, not him. If it was a one-off, he would have apologized already. He doesn't because he spoke his mind. What you offered to your sister-in-law shows that you care for her, and it's enough. If he properly apologizes, invite him back.